What's up, everybody? Jeremy Lambert here, the Distraction YouTube channel. They gave us our own channel, SP3. Can you believe this nonsense?
I feel like you guys have grown so much. You're on your own channel now. It's like they gave you, you're on TNT. It's like you're AEW all over again.
This is where we used to do this stuff on like Twitch or behind the Patreon and everything. Now it's just like, here's the channel. Do what you want with it. All right, we're going to do NBA podcasts on a Wednesday evening. That's what we're going to do on it. I was very excited to do an NBA podcast. And I was excited. I was actually more excited to do it the day after opening night because I wanted to see how the Lakers played. And Al Maddox in the chat, and he's saying, Lakers thumbnail after a loss. What is this? ESPN. Yes. Look, man, they bring the clicks.
We draw. Yes.
Yeah. We leave the pit. They bring the clicks, man. People are gonna click for the Lakers content. I'm trying to get these clicks, man. I'm trying to get this money. All right. I know what draws. Yell at me. They played last night, SP3. You are a Lakers fan. I have kind of jumped on the bandwagon as a Russell Westbrook fan. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very worried about this team this season. How panicked are you? What's your panic level after one game?
It's not even like I can't even register it at a number because we are literally like I think 0-3 since LeBron has gotten 0-4 in opening night as with LeBron on the team. So we've never won on opening night when LeBron James has been on the Los Angeles Lakers. That's how far back we're going since 2019. So I'm not too worried. I think everybody needs to, stop the fire. It's going to be okay. We're going to get it together. Who I am worried about is your boy, Russell Westbrook, because I feel like LeBron looked good. Anthony Davis looked good. All those two have to do is be healthy. Russell Westbrook, it's a whole nother conundrum, and that's the real issue after last night.
Here's the thing with Russell Westbrook. Love him. But the MVP season was special. I'm never going to – what he did for that franchise, it can't be replicated. It was always a weird fit going to the Lakers because LeBron's got to have the ball in his hands. Davis likes to have his little post-ups and everything. Like Davis doesn't run like a lot of pick and roll, pick and pop kind of stuff. Russ is best when he's using screens and he's got a good pick and roll partner and when he's rebounding and running. Davis and LeBron gobble up a lot of rebounds. So, like, you're turning Westbrook into, like, a spot-up shooter. He's not a good shooter. And a cutter, and he ain't moving on the ball all that much. It's a weird fit. He always starts slow. I will say that. He always, the first couple of months, it's just what he does. Outside of the MVP season, like, he just gets off to a slow start. And then he's on his fourth team in 4 years. Like, it's going to be different for him. The fit was always weird, though, and you got to let Russ be Russ. And how much are they going to let Russ be Russ with LeBron and Anthony Davis? That's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I was first like cautious and had trepidation when they originally made the deal or when I originally heard of the deal. And, I was like, I was optimistic. I was like, we got our third star. That's what we really wanted at the end of the day. We can try to make it work. But when you have a big three and LeBron James is the best 3-point shooter, there's always going to be issues. There's always going to be a problem there. So I like the pickups that they did after Westbrook, like getting Carmelo, getting, I got some Knicks fans that are rooting for the Lakers now, so that's what I'm all about in New York.
Root for the Knicks. The Knicks are good this year. They were good last year. They're supposed to be good this year.
Knicks fans know. My mom is a longtime Knicks fan, so I've been dealing with Knicks fans for like the better part of 30 years. So they know they get to a certain level and they're gonna choke. I said it to all my Knicks fans, all the Knicks fans, like, oh, we're gonna get by the Hawks. I was like, y'all will probably win one game. Y'all will get real happy about it. I didn't expect them to do the Labor Day parade outside of Madison Square Garden when they did win, but they were gonna get real happy about it, and then they were gonna lose, and that's exactly what happened. And now everybody wants to burn Trae Young jerseys in New York City, but it is what it is. With the Knicks this year,
The king of New York, Trae Young.
it's all about making it past one round. But the Knicks fans kind of get their joy out of, not rooting for the Lakers or rooting for the doom of the Lakers. So the fact that I got a couple of Knicks fans that like, no, I want to see Melo win a championship, it warms my heart. It warms my heart. So I like that. And I want to see Melo get his championship as well. But yeah, we really have to do like work in working out the kinks because it didn't look good in the preseason. The first half looked good last night, but the second half, we got to maintain what we were able to do in the first half. LeBron and AD, like I said, were great. Even Melo, he played really well, but we got to get Russ and then everybody else on top of that together.
Tio Noah makes a good point here. Russ can be Russ for the 12 to 14 minutes when LeBron is on the bench. The rest of the game, he's going to have to be Danny Green. And I kind of like, he ain't going to be Danny Green. He ain't playing Danny Green defense, and he ain't shooting like Danny Green can shoot either. But to the first part of that, I think that's the best usage of Westbrook is like put him with kind of a bench unit. Put him with DeAndre or Howard, Bazemore, Bradley, Malik Monk, and I guess Melo. Like put him with like shooters and just kind of space as much as you can and just let him go. I feel like that's the bet. The defense is going to be god awful because nobody on that lineup right there. I mean, I guess Avery Bradley does, but DeAndre's old. Melo and Russ ain't playing defense. And Malik Monk can be hit or miss. But like you offensively, he can rebound with that group. Tell DeAndre to get out of the way. DeAndre will set some screens, or Howard will set some screens for him. They can do a little bit of pick and roll now. They have Wayne Ellington is hurt, right?
Yeah, he's hurt right
the Lakers.
now.
Wayne Ellington is another guy that they can spot in that little bench role with Westbrook to space the floor. Westbrook surrounded by shooters works. Like it worked really well in Houston a couple years ago. It definitely works. I think that might be how you use him now. You can only go to that lineup for so many minutes because LeBron ain't sitting for too long. Anthony Davis ain't sitting for too long. And so the issue still remains, how do you play those three together? Because that's the three you're going to play to start every game and to close every game. And Westbrook as a floor spacer ain't working.
It's really about LeBron adapting, and it's kind of the reverse of what happened in like Miami. That's the only like template that I was able to go off of even before last night is Russ has to kind of play the role that Dwayne Wade was able to play. When you look at Dwayne Wade's numbers in that first year with Miami, he was more efficient when LeBron was on the bench. They knew what to do when the other guy was on the bench, and they were able to take control of the ball. So they have to find a way to do it faster because unlike the Miami Heat, they don't have a first year to kind of get this wrong. They kind of gotta get it together during the regular season to have an impactful playoff run because LeBron James, whether people want to believe it or not, he don't got that many more years. He's got this year and maybe next year, and that's about it. So we got to get the job done this year with this unit, or also, I don't think Russell Westbrook's going to stay along for more than this season if it doesn't work out this season as well.
I mean, it's 81 games, right? Or 82 games, sorry. 81 games remaining. 82 games in total. They got a lot of time to figure this out. I would not panic after game one, like you said, and I didn't even know. Like, they've lost every home opener or every opening night with LeBron as a Laker. And I mean, I guess they missed the playoffs one year. They were out in the first round last year, but they won the title in a year that I don't think actually counted. But they still hung a banner.
Will you stop? The Spurs in 1999, they don't count either. That's how I view it. But
the Heat, come on, the fraudulent Heat made the finals.
Come on, wait. Let me just say, we were the number one seed. We would have had home court advantage for the entire playoffs, and we were on the road. So it is what it is.
Look, I agree. That Lakers team was very good, and I mean they were healthy. they were going to be tough to beat had things remained the same. I totally agree. It would have been a different ball game because obviously travel and everything like that, but it still doesn't count. So the pandemic banner.
I think we verse the Celtics in the finals if there's no pandemic. That's what I think. That's the only difference.
Really?
Yeah.
The Bucks were serious that like at home, the Bucks were unstoppable at home.
Yeah.
And
but my whole thing with the Bucks is I felt like last year the reason why they were able to win the championship is because they were below the radar. All these other years when you're the number one seed, everybody's trying to go after you. I felt like they were benefited by being like a lower seed because people weren't gunning for them as much.
Oh, I totally agree with that because they didn't have any hype on them going into the playoffs last year. I mean, people thought Bud was going to be fired if they lost in the first or second round. So they ended up winning the title. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But man, they were really good at home that season. And so like if they had actual home court throughout, it's tough for me to pick against the Bucks if that's a normal thing, at least coming out of the East, if that's a normal year. Because I don't think that Heat team, I mean, look, they took them to the woodshed in the bubble. Different story though, if they're actually in the arenas for that stuff. I mean, speaking of the Bucks, they looked like the champs last night. They looked like the champs. I mean, the Nets got their own stuff going on. At the end of the day, they still on the floor. They still got Kevin Durant and James Harden. And especially in the second half, the Bucks, they took it to them, man.
Yeah, I mean, I expected that to happen. Spoiler alert, I do think the Nets are going to make it to the NBA Finals. I don't think Kyrie is going to be out that long. And I feel like, especially even if he's out for the whole regular season, he'll probably be like, you know what, I'll get this jab for the playoffs. that's what he'll be like. He'll probably be like, you know what?
If he gets this vaccine for the playoffs, though, then like, I feel like that's going to mess him up. If they go a whole season without playing him, and then he's going to come in, and that's a weird situation with that team. And I understand that Kyrie's doing his own thing, but I don't know what Durant and Harden think of it. It seems like neither of them really want to like talk about it and touch on it, but it's got to be a distraction to those guys of like, all right, is Kyrie going to play? What's going on with him? It's a mess over there. I mean, fuck Kevin Durant. I don't care, but it's a mess.
I think KD is going to have an MVP type of season because Kyrie is going to be out most of the season, and I just think that he has a bone to pick after his feet being too big, and that's it. And that's the reason why all the Nets fans say that the Bucks made it to the NBA Finals. He's got a bone to pick with the whole league, and he wants to do it. He's not going to play 82 games because that's not what these superstar players do anymore. But he's going to play like 75 to 72 games. And he's going to be Kevin Durant on most of those days. So, and if they make it to a 2 or 3 seed with just him and James Harden and a great cast of players around them, Joe Harris, one of the best 3-point shooters. They got a couple of guys who can like shoot the ball, but I just feel like KD is the core there. And if he has a great season, I think that it's between him, Luka, and Joel Embiid for the MVP. But I already did predictions on the True Hill Heat Patreon, and I said like I'm going with KD for the MVP because he only has one MVP. Only Kobe Bryant gets robbed of multiple MVPs, and I'm still salty about that. So KD's gonna get his second.
So you mentioned Durant, Luka, and Embiid, and like I'm not mad at any of these picks. I think what might hurt Embiid, I don't know where the Sixers are going to finish, especially like if they don't have Simmons. Like it's a good team, but we can Almatic, disrespect for Steve Nash, my guy. Like we can talk about Ben Simmons and him being a coward, and like Joseph who has not shown up here and not shooting the ball in his playoff performances and stuff. That guy was a problem in the regular season, and he made that team better. It wasn't Embiid carrying them to the 1 seed. It was a combination of those guys and Tobias Harris. I don't know if they're going to quite finish high enough if it's just Embiid. Luka, definitely see that. He's going to put up crazy numbers. My kind of MVP conversation is Durant, I think Steph is there. I think, I mean, he didn't shoot the ball well last night, still got a triple double. I think
Yeah.
the Warriors they're going to be a problem this year. Clay's going to be healthy at some point, which is going to make them better. They got better players around this season. Like, I really like the Bejelica pickup. I love him in 2K because he's just a solid dude. He's almost like Joe Ingles, where
Yeah.
he's not going to like overwhelm you because he's a slow white dude, but like he makes smart basketball plays and he can shoot the ball. He's a smart. He's a Warriors player. The passes he was making last night in crunch time and everything, very smart player. I like him. Jordan Poole looks like he stepped up. They got Iguodala back. And if nothing else, he's a veteran guy who knows that system. Draymond, fuck him. He can't shoot, he can't score, but he fits great with
Does
that
everything
system.
else.
He's great in that system. I mean, Steph, he was on fire to close last year, and I know it was a rough start shooting wise last night. That ain't going to continue. Him shooting the ball like that, not going to continue. Pluggo mentions, Clay getting back is huge. Wiseman, I don't know about him. I could actually see them, and they got Wiggins as well, which, I mean, fuck that guy too, but he's a good basketball player. All these guys who just like hurt my teams over the years. I just can't stand him. Wiseman, I could see being a trade chip for them.
I already like see in my head that they are going to be in the conversation for Siakam, Pascal Siakam. I think that if the Raptors get off to a slow start before he even gets back, he's going to be that guy that a lot of these teams that I think that the Warriors are like a 4 or lower seed in the West only because Clay's only going to come back by like Christmas or the beginning of 2022. So that's the only reason I have them there. If he was back earlier, I would say they're in the top 3, but they're going to be like 4 max or lower. But if they get a Siakam and they trade, Wiseman and Wiggins and maybe another young piece, I think that's a squad right there. You got Siakam with Green and the Splash Brothers right there. That's a top 3 seed in the West. So I think that if they get into that conversation, they will be much better than what everybody is projecting them to be this year.
I mean, look, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They lost to the Lakers in the play-in, and then they lost to the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies loss was like very much a come down after the Lakers loss, and it was just tough. But that team was just a bad mix of players last year because you had Steph and you had Draymond, and then you just had a bunch of young guys who it wasn't going to work in that system. They just weren't. It seemed like they were a little bit overwhelmed because it's a lot of movement and like complicated sets that Steve Kerr likes to run. And you need the veteran guys and you need high IQ guys to be in that, not young players. They got a lot of those guys this year, and they're young players. Now they've been in that system for an extra year. So it certainly helps. They got these young guys who, Phil mentioned Kuminga, they have Moses Moody, and they got Wiseman. Like, these are guys they can flip for maybe a Siakam. Maybe, I don't know if Bradley Beal is going to be available, but you throw in Wiggins and get somebody like Bradley Beal. Like, they have pieces to flip to a team who could be potentially looking at a rebuild, who has some veteran guys who they might want to be able to bring in. And whether that's another superstar, another star, another all-star, or whether it's just like solid veterans who they think are good additions to the roster. Regardless, they've got the pieces to make some moves. I would be very afraid of the Warriors, throughout the season because Steph is still Steph, and we know what that team can do. They got lost these past couple of years with the injuries and stuff. That's a scary team.
Indeed. My question to you, though, do you think they should make a call to Philly for a Simmons? Because that's what I've been hearing a lot. I've been hearing that a lot.
I've been saying that. I said that Simmons would be good. I don't know who you give up. I know who you give up, but then Philly's got to flip those guys because they got Wiseman and Wiseman and Embiid. That ain't gonna work.
No.
And you got to flip Wiseman and you got to get a veteran for him because Philly's in win now mode. You can't waste another year of Joel Embiid's. Maybe prime, but a healthy year, hopefully, of Joel Embiid. You can't waste another year of that and bring in rookies and stuff. Like, are you bringing in Draymond? Because I think Ben Simmons is I think he's like souped up Draymond.
I
almost.
agree.
I
I
think Ben
agree
Simmons
with
would
you.
be great in that system. So yes, I've always said the Warriors make sense for Ben Simmons, but if you're Philly, you're not doing that deal and taking those young guys unless you know you can flip them unless you know you can flip them for veteran help and potentially another star yourself.
Yeah, I can see it really working very well because they kind of need that. They need a younger Draymond. Like that's the problem with Draymond. Draymond a couple of years back, he can give them like 10 points and then do everything else 5, 5, 5 or across the board
Triple
every
single.
single. Yeah, exactly. Every single night, but now he's very inconsistent even when it comes to filling up the box score. So they need a guy that can do that, and Ben Simmons kind of fits that role with Clay coming back and he's healthy with Ben Simmons. Then I totally agree with you. I'm really panic button for the Lakers is up to like it goes to like a 90 at the very least, because the Warriors is like that's the one I would be most scared of. A healthy Splash Brothers with a third legitimate option, even though I think that Jordan Poole is going to have a very underrated six man of the year type of year coming off if he's coming off the bench for them. I think that's going to be the best role for him. I think that he's going to be very beneficial for that team overall. But the Splash Brothers with Ben Simmons or with the Siakam, that's an issue for the Lakers. I feel like the Lakers' biggest problem outside of the Warriors is in the same division. The Pacific Division is just ridiculous, and it's the Suns. The Suns, I feel like the experience got them better. They got the one-way ticket to the NBA Finals last season. They got gift wrapped so many different things happening between AD.
Wow.
I'm
This
sorry, I'm
Sun
calling.
slander.
Yes, son,
We're not
it's
slandering the
son.
point
Yes,
guard Chris Paul.
son
We won't do
slander
it.
out here. Yes, it's son
No.
slander out here. I
No.
am calling it. I said it once, and I will say it again. And I'll say it right here on the Distraction YouTube channel. Chris Paul is one of the biggest choke artists of all time,
What?
and he needed that gift.
This is a solo show now, everybody. We're not slandering my father, the point guard Chris Paul. We're not going to do that. All right. So SP3's gone. It's just me. Phil's in the chat. Phil, check your DMs. I sent you the link. You're welcome to join. I'll message Joseph again. Slandering Chris Paul. Can't stand for this, SP3. What?
I'm sorry. I call it like I see it, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. Like he got gift. AD went down. Kawhi went down. There was no Jamal Murray for the
You gotta
Nuggets.
beat these teams still. Kawhi went
Yes,
down.
yes.
The Jazz had an easy path and they choked. That's an actual team
Yeah,
that choked because they
that's
should
a
have
joke.
beat the
No,
Clippers.
no. I'm not saying that the Suns choked last year. They got their way to the NBA Finals. I'm just saying, look at the history of Chris Paul and tell me he hasn't choked in the past. I'm just saying. Oh, we're saying that. Now we
Just gonna leave that on screen the whole time. It's gonna
That's
stay on
slander.
screen the
That's
whole
slander.
time.
That's cap right there. Not what I said. That's cap right there. But no, I respect Chris Paul. I'm very happy that he made it to the NBA Finals. And I feel like Monty Williams is my pick to be the coach of the year this year. I think that the Suns are going to be anywhere between a 1, a 2, and a 3 seed. So they're going to be the biggest threat to the Lakers without, because I don't know what version of Clay we're going to get when he comes back. I feel like the Suns is the biggest threat to the Lakers not winning the Western Conference.
I'm worried. I mean, I don't really care. I'm not a Suns fan. I'm just rooting for Chris Paul. This DeAndre Ayton situation doesn't seem like it's going to end well because, is DeAndre Ayton a max player? I don't know. They just toss out these max deals to any good rookie who they think has a lot of potential and stuff. He's clearly important to what that team does. And if this is held over and he's not happy about it and it becomes an issue, that could severely hinder this team. Otherwise, they're returning pretty much the core pieces of that run. I still, is Chris Paul is the same questions about with LeBron James is when are these guys going to actually slow down? Maybe it's this season for Chris Paul. I think Devin Booker took a big step in the playoffs. I think he's going to be even better this season. I really like Bridges. like the team everybody is sleeping on in the West is the Nuggets, though. I think I think people are really sleeping on I know Jamal Murray's going to be out for a while. Like he might not even come back until like just before the playoffs, and that's an issue. But I mean, Michael Porter Jr. I guess he got the shot, didn't he? I don't know.
He's my pick for most improved. I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to take that step up. He's going to be a 20-point scorer. He's going to be that number 2 that Jokic needs this season. But maybe I'm like most of the people that are sleeping on the Nuggets. I have them as a 5 or 6 seed this season. I don't think they're going to be in that upper echelon like they were last season, because they're another team that I feel like people weren't looking at them too well, and that's why they got up to where they were. But without Jamal Murray, that's the issue. Like if Jamal Murray comes back and he's the Jamal Murray that was in the bubble, then yeah, they're a top 3 seed regardless of anything. But he has to come back, or at least a little bit like before, I want to say February, or at least by like after All-Star break, or it's going to take a while for them to mesh together and get the flow back.
I do think Michael Porter Jr. needs to take like another step as a scorer, because we know he can shoot the ball. He's got to have a next level as a scorer, because that's one thing like they definitely missed with Murray in the playoffs is like you can run your offense through Jokic, and I mean Jokic can get buckets in a variety of ways. There's something to be said to just have that flamethrower guard who can just go off and get his shot from anywhere and just torch opposing defenses. And without Murray, they missed that. Throughout the regular season, it's not quite as big of a deal because you're going to be playing lesser teams. It's a grind in the regular season, right? So if Murray can come back and regain some of that, like that team might be an issue in the playoffs. I just think people are sleeping on the Nuggets. I really like Jokic because he's something different. Teams just don't have an answer for that guy.
No.
Like there just aren't many guys. I mean, literally no one in the league with his size and his skill set, and teams just do not have an answer for that guy. So I'm not sleeping on the Nuggets. I think they're going to be a threat in the West. Where are we at on your cross? I guess they still share staples, right? Your cross locker room
for now.
Yeah,
for now.
Your cross locker room rivals of the Clippers. What do you think of this team?
I think they still make the playoffs because, although people say I just slandered Chris Paul, if there's one player I despise the most in the NBA, it is Paul George. Because
I'm here for the Paul George slander.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. This dude who said he wanted to come play in LA, he convinced Indiana to get himself traded. He goes over to the Thunder. He's like, I feel at home. I'm gonna re-sign with the Thunder. Then he just backdoors y'all. He snakes y'all to go to the Clippers, and then they choke in the bubble when they pretty much they called us out. They literally had Kawhi doing the commercials, saying I'm the new king of LA. Called us out, said, meet us in the conference finals. And what happened? We made it. Where was they? No, they choked. So, and then but last season he shut up me as a naysayer. He came through. He played very well, especially against the Jazz. The Jazz series is what I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go. He's not pandemic play. He's not playoff P. That's for damn sure. But he's somewhere in the middle. He's somewhere. He could be either pandemic or playoff. So he's somewhere in the middle. And I think that he's at least good enough to get them to the playoffs. So I have them as like a 7th seed, 7th or 8th seed, depending on how dedicated Dame Lillard is to the Trailblazers. I think one of those two teams, they're interchangeable as the 7th or 8th seed. But I feel like the guys around them, around Paul George, is going to make it enough that they are a playoff team.
Phil Lindsay is here. Can you tell this man about Chris Paul and just stop this Chris Paul slander?
What did I say? I said he played well last season.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they definitely overpaid Chris Paul. Can we get that out the way?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had to pay Chris Paul,
and that's why
it secures the bag. Bless my father for securing the bag.
But that's why they're in the situation they're in with Aiden, because they gave him all that money. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge Chris Paul fan. I think the guy is, he's a great player, but certain things.
Everybody's gone. I'm doing this stream once again by myself. They're slandering my father, the point god, Chris Paul. Just, what are we doing, guys?
Hey, I mean, he did great last season, but I mean, can we acknowledge that they made it all the way to the finals possibly because of Booker and that wasn't him?
Yeah, Devin Booker was great, but I mean, Chris Paul still led the team.
He did.
What were the Suns before Chris Paul? Where were the Suns before
he
Chris
got them
Paul?
to the playoffs, but I feel like once he got hurt in the playoffs, I feel like they as a team got them to the finals.
Sure, but it's because of his leadership. You can't put a price on leadership. I mean, I guess you can, like $300 million or whatever they paid him. But
I mean, I was about to say they put a pretty hefty price on leadership.
This Chris Paul slander. Can't stand
it's
it.
not slander. I just don't think that he's. I don't think he's worth what they gave him.
To be
it ain't
fair,
my money. I don't care.
I'm still kind of salty that he never became a Laker. That might be why I have.
That wasn't his fault though. That was the league.
No. That wasn't his fault.
League.
That was the league's fault. That was the league's. That's why I said David Stern. I don't want nothing to do with him. I'll never say that name ever again on any podcast because I don't. He kept him away. He tried to sabotage the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm still a little bitter about that. But CP3, like I said, great season last year. He was an MVP candidate. But I totally agree with Phil. Devin Booker was their MVP in the playoffs, and that's the reason why they got past, got their way to the NBA Finals and played well in the NBA Finals. But they ran into an all-time great in Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis had an all-time series.
Hey,
too.
if Claude doesn't get hurt, man, might be having a different conversation. Might be watching the Clippers Finals, man. That's all I'm gonna say to that.
Look, injuries are a part of it, and yeah, I can't stand it. It sucks that these top players get hurt, and it throws everything off because you want to see the best guys out there competing against the best guys. I always say it's a grind, and you can only beat who is in front of you. Like I can't slander a team that just beat teams with injuries because it happened to almost every team, and you can only beat who is in front of you. It's not Chris Paul's fault that guys got hurt. It's not Giannis's fault.
No, absolutely not. People were trashing the Clippers pretty hard, man.
Well, yeah, because I mean, fuck Paul George.
Yeah, hey,
the Clippers this year. I hope they do poorly because I think we own their franchise for the next 10 years. That team, I ain't sold on this team. I mean, Paul George played well. I think if you put the ball in Paul George's hand, he's gonna have a good season. He's gonna put up numbers.
Yeah,
I'm not buying that Reggie Jackson is like the second coming of Chris Paul just because he played well in the playoffs.
He had his Troy Hudson run in the playoffs.
Eric Bledsoe, man, like
he plays defense.
I don't like this team. I don't like this Clippers team. Again, I hope they're garbage. I hope they don't make the playoffs at all.
I think they're a tough team. I think they proved in the playoffs that they're a tough team.
That's why I said they're going to be 7th, 8th seed. I don't think they make it past the play-in, though. Honestly, I feel like the 9 and the 10 seed are going to be really strong. I feel like it's either going to be probably Grizzlies, Pelicans type of teams at the 9 and the 10 seed, and I can see the Grizzlies beating the Clippers in a play-in.
All right, eight playoff teams. Don't worry about the play-in games. I mean, you can count the play-in games of who you think might finish 10th and then win the playoff game. But
yeah,
eight playoff teams in the West. Phil,
8 playoff teams in the West.
Yeah.
Lakers, of course.
Okay.
Utah.
Okay.
Denver. Phoenix. Warriors. Sorry.
Mavericks.
Mavs. Oh man, Mavs are such a weird team, man.
Yeah, look, Luka's gonna put up some numbers though.
Luka's gonna put up numbers, but what is the rest of that team gonna do?
Yeah, but like who's beating them out? Minnesota? Are we high on Minnesota?
No.
Portland?
I wouldn't be surprised if Towns is out of there very soon.
Portland is consistently mediocre. I feel like they'll be a playoff team, but
yeah,
like we just kind of know what Portland is. Like Portland's a team that I feel like needs to make some type of move. And if it's McCollum, then it's McCollum. But that team's run back the same team for about 3-4 straight years now. And I know they made the West Finals that one season. Otherwise, they're just that team is just boring. And I love Dame Lillard as a player, fun to watch. But man, that team is just boring.
Won't stop Charles Barkley from picking them to win the whole West.
Yeah. Dallas probably, but I don't know, man. You just never know with that team.
Jason
Portland
Kidd's
probably.
gonna unlock Kristaps Porzingis. Just wait.
Sure he is. He's gonna pour some coke on the court again.
Yeah, the all-timer right there. What about the Kings? They're already a mess. I think the Spurs might be the worst team in the West.
Yeah,
honestly, the Grizzlies. I'm not mad at the Grizzlies. Like,
yeah, Grizzlies make the playoffs. I think.
Big fan of Ja Morant. I like him. He's good, and I like kind of what they've done around him as well. I could see the Grizzlies at least getting into the playoff game again, and then making a little bit of noise there. Where are we at on Utah? Like they're running back the same mediocre team as well.
I think they're going to be a top 4 seed. Honestly, I feel like their defense is really strong. No, they're not going to do it. They're kind of like the Hawks of like 2012 through 2014, where they were always in the top 3, but we knew when they got to the playoffs they were going to lose to like the Cavs or somebody like that. But they're going to be in that top 4, in my opinion. My playoff teams, I got Lakers 1, 2, Suns, Jazz, Mavericks, Warriors, Nuggets, Clippers, Trailblazers.
That's fair. Like I could see the Grizzlies topping the Blazers unless the Blazers make some type of move. I'm just that team, man. Just boring. Let them be mediocre, get bounced in the first round, whatever. But Jazz, they ain't doing nothing because they're about to lose tonight. And then my Thunder, we're going to the playoffs with Shea and Josh Giddey. No, we're not making the playoffs.
I was about to say, you think so?
No, I hope not. That's not the point of this season. If we make the playoffs, something's gone horribly wrong. Like Shea and Josh Giddey and Poku and Luguentz Dort become superstars if this team makes the playoffs. Because Lou Dort, man, Lou Dort's legit. I will not hear you guys can slander Chris Paul and like, all right, I kind of get it, but like Lou Dort, this man, the ultimate 3. This is Kawhi 2.0. Lou Dort right here.
Whoa,
just wait.
Whoa now.
I was gonna say Bruce Bowens maybe, but nah, not Kawhi. Chill.
Kawhi too. Scottie Pippen even. Like that's Lou Dort. This man can put the ball on the floor. He can score from everywhere. He's elite from 3, and he locks up the best player. Get out of here. Yeah, Derek Favors. He's the highest paid player. I mean, I guess Shea's still on his rookie deal, technically. Dude, they're going to flip Favors for 5 first-round picks. It's going to be tremendous.
You know they will.
Lou Dort almost played spoilers for Houston that other year.
We're not.
It was like the turnbuckle exploded on him, like Finn Balor. He just started missing threes.
Just call him God.
No, I'm gonna remove you again, Phil. Shea's gonna have a great season. I'm very much looking forward to Shea. Josh Giddey, the point lord. He's gonna win Rookie of the Year. Can't wait. It's gonna be a fun year. Dude, Josh Giddey's good. He's gonna have so many great like passes that lead to missed shots. It's gonna. I don't know if you guys saw the preseason compilation. This dude passes the shit. Like he's making just tremendous passes that players his age probably shouldn't be making. And it's all to these like guys who just can't make any shots. It's very upsetting, but what can you do?
He's all rookie for sure. But my question about the Thunder to you, sir, is who y'all trying to get in the draft? Is it Holmgren, Bonchero?
I don't know any. I'm not a draft person. I'll pay attention to that stuff. I see that it's like big on like forwards and centers, which is great because we have nothing there. Our guards are pretty nice. Like Dort, Shea, and Giddey. Like that's a nice 3-guard rotation there. And then Poku plays kind of like point forward. We need like an actual big who can kind of do something because I watched the preseason game against the Bucks. Like Gobert is going to destroy them tonight. There's no interior presence on this team at all. Gobert is going to have like 20 and 20, and people are going to be like, "Oh, see, the Jazz are fine because they beat up on like Derek Favors and shit." Like, who cares? Phil, where are you at on your Bulls or Knicks? Are you a Bulls or a Knicks fan?
He's Bulls. He's
Bulls. Knicks. Holy cow. Listen, I've had to reluctantly support the Knicks just because my guy's there. Still want Derek.
You support Derrick Rose. That's what
but,
sometimes will throw me off.
I have always kind of hated the Knicks, and I've always found a lot of pleasure in trashing them. But no, I think the Bulls are going to be top 5, top 4 possibly team. I think they had possibly one of the best free agencies in the Eastern Conference. My man Ayo's looking really good. I think that was a steal of the draft pick. I don't know how he fell in our laps, but man, he's looking good. I saw him say the other day he doesn't think there are 29 players better than him. I was like, talk that talk. I like it.
I will say this, Phil. It means literally nothing, but in my NBA 2K simulation, the Bulls won the championship. So they beat the Lakers in the finals. Again, what does this mean? Absolutely nothing.
Y'all gonna make me block Phil on Twitter.
Listen, if the Bulls somehow made it to the finals and beat the Lakers, forget it. Everybody close your Twitter.
You would.
Oh my God.
You're such a LeBron hater too. Like it would be. I'd have to mute you. I love you, Phil, but I'd have to mute you for a couple days.
I would not sleep. I would just be on Twitter all day and all night, just tweeting people like, "Hey." Just tagging people, just tagging random people, just like, yeah, that'd be the worst thing that could happen to that app.
Worst thing that could happen to me, like
that would be the worst thing ever. Yeah, but no, I've been a Chicago fan long enough to know that you got to temper your expectations. Ain't nobody jumping into the championship talk just yet. But I do think they're going to make a strong playoff push. I think they could possibly make it to the second round. Fingers crossed. But it just depends on what the matchup is. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to think because I guess top 5 teams, if I had to guess right now, are probably Bucks, Nets.
Miami. I like Miami.
I think Miami. Well. I think Miami. It's so tough to call what Boston's going to do without a decent point guard.
I think they make the playoffs, but seventh A seed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think top 5 is kind of high for Boston. Philly is a disaster because they keep trying to hold on to Simmons. Just let the guy go. He don't want to be there. Hit the eject button, man. It's over. It's over.
What are you getting for Ben Simmons? I was hoping Joseph was going to join us, but he's a coward. Like, what is the value? What is the value for Ben Simmons right now? Because it feels like an all-time low coming out of the playoffs. His own team, his star player, his coach threw him under the bus. Now he's being a detriment to the team where he's trying to practice with his phone in his pocket and he's not engaged in all this stuff. Like, his value, it ain't there. And Philly's in win now mode. So like they're not just going to trade him for pennies because I'm still a Ben Simmons believer. Can you build a team around this guy? I don't know, but like if you can put some kind of like shooting around him, this is why I thought the Warriors were always a good fit for him. Like if you can put like a good shooting guard around him, like I believe in Ben Simmons because he can mess you up on defense. And I mean, yeah, the shooting is going to be an issue, but he can still run an offense. I just don't know what his value is. I don't know what you can get for it.
What do I think his actual value is, or what do I think that they need to settle for to just make this thing go away?
Both. We'll do both.
I think that Indiana trade that they were kicking around sounded pretty good for what they were trying to do. I think that was the best option they had on the table, and I'm not sure why they haven't pulled the trigger on it. Possibly getting Karis LeVert or Sabonis, I take that. Some draft picks, I would take that. You're not going to get what you want for him at this point because he has burned all the bridges. He has made himself look not like a bad commodity on the court. He's made himself look like a horrible commodity off court. Nobody wants to deal with that right now.
Yeah.
So I think Indiana was their best push. The whole, dream trade of getting him to LA because that's what he wants. It's too late for that. If they would have tried to trade him early in the offseason, maybe he could have got to the Warriors. Maybe he could have got to like the Lakers, but that ship sailed. I think that's done. You gotta cut your losses.
SP3, what do you think Simmons' value is, like realistic, and then maybe what they should settle for.
Like I said before, the Warriors have enough young pieces where maybe not Wiseman because, that's not going to work with Embiid, but if they can try to go for like a Kuminga, a Jordan Poole, get some draft equity out of this deal as well, that's going to be something. And that's a team that can work for Ben Simmons, and they can work something out for the Sixers, I guess, like long term. But
here's my question to that, because I keep seeing people kick around this Warriors thing. If you're the Warriors organization, do you try to bring this guy in next to Draymond? Do you think that would work? That these two would get along?
I don't know.
Exactly.
No.
I don't think Ben Simmons is the head case that he is right now. Like, and I don't like using that term, but I don't think this is actually Ben Simmons. I think that he feels very disrespected and very just like thrown under the bus by this franchise. And he's just like acting out. Is this the best way to handle things? Absolutely not. I would not handle things like this, but I think you put him in a different situation, a different culture. I think he goes to the Warriors. Like that's a team that has championship aspirations. He will be engaged and locked in on that team. So that's why, like, I'm not completely just out on Ben Simmons based on what he's doing with Philly, because I do think that he's just acting out and is, again, not the best way to handle this, but I'm not going to say I blame him because he should be a little bit more mature about the situation. Dude, they tossed that man after the playoffs.
Did they though?
They did.
That wasn't that. The fans did. The team did.
No. Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid threw that man under the bus.
I just expect this from Doc Rivers. It's the Embiid. Like I know Embiid is salty with the mouth as well, but he usually has his teammates back. Nah, he just said, the media gave him the alley and he just dunked it in the ball. He's like, yeah.
But that was after he started doing all this stuff, though.
This was immediately after Game 7.
Exactly.
This was immediately after Game 7, Phil. They threw this man under the bus right after they lost.
It seemed like the team wanted to give him a chance, though. It didn't seem like the team was like, hey, we're done.
Joel Embiid. I'm going to pull up these comments.
Yes, read the quote. Read the quote, please.
Yeah,
please
Joel Embiid, he threw this man. He said,
but I don't know. I just don't feel like a lot of stuff he's been doing, I feel like it's worse than anything, because I feel like the organization itself wanted to work with him. Now, if you say, Embiid threw him under the bus, okay, Embiid has a big mouth, so I'm not surprised.
Embiid said, I'll be honest, I thought the turning point was when I don't know how to say it, but I thought the turning point was when we had an open shot and we made one free throw. That was in reference to Simmons passing up that dunk and then getting fouled, which, look, that was not a good play. And then Doc said, when asked if Ben Simmons can be a point guard on a championship team, he said, I don't know the answer to that question right now. Both these men, and there were more.
He didn't say no. Hey, listen, I'm all for having an honest conversation about Doc Rivers as well. I feel like the guy hasn't been a great coach. I feel like the sole championship he won is because of my guy, Tom Thibodeau. But, nobody wants that conversation.
I can't say you're wrong. I think it's because, Lakers had a couple of injuries, and that's why they got that championship, because otherwise the Lakers would have won.
Tom Thibodeau was coaching a stout defense that year, man. That's kind of what helped them. I don't know.
Hey, Andrew Bynum was half man, half a season for most of those years, and we didn't have him in the playoffs. And when we did, we won the championship against them. So
I don't know. That was a different Rondo that year. So that was that.
Almatic has a good suggestion on Bagley getting benched in Sacramento, Buddy, Bagley, and picks for Simmons. Like, I'm not mad at that. You get a shooter and Buddy Hield. I don't know the Bagley and Embiid fit. I guess you try to figure that out.
My only issue would be is Ben Simmons going to be okay in Sacramento? Like, I don't think that's going to improve his attitude.
He can't go everywhere and throw these kind of fits. Like, at this point, he's got to just, wherever he lands next, he's got to rebuild some goodwill and some trust among his new organization and the fans and everything. If he goes there and does this kind of stuff, then we can have a conversation. about Ben Simmons. Right now, I'm not holding this Philly stuff fully against him. I'm not mad at that deal. Maybe you flip those picks for like another veteran kind of ball handling guard, because Philly's got some room, and like I said earlier, you can't waste these in prime Embiid years, because you don't know when this man is going to get hurt again. He falls a lot. He falls more than Anthony Davis. Both those men just always fall, and I'm worried every time they fall that it's just going to be a bad injury for them.
But I don't know, because I think if you put Simmons on that Sacramento team, I think you're going to have the same kind of issues that the Lakers are having off that first game. Is you've got two prime playmakers on the floor, in him and De'Aaron Fox. Who are you going to go to as your prime playmaker if you put him on Sacramento?
Oh, Fox, because he can actually shoot.
Right.
Like, that's who's taking the shots down the stretch. Yeah. But I'd let Simmons run kind of the majority of the offense, though, because Fox can. What are De'Aaron Fox's 3-point numbers? Like, I'm pretty sure he has a decent enough 3-point
38% or so. Yeah, and you got Hulbert as well. Yeah. So that's three shot creators right there. That's why I said that's not really going to improve the way he's thinking. Like, I could see them making maybe a deal with Toronto, because like I said, Pascal Siakam's going to be a name that's going to be out there, especially when he comes back. And I don't think that the Raptors are going to be in the mix at all, even by the time he comes back from his injury. And so I could see that being an option for them, where they could get some draft picks, trading Ben Simmons. And Toronto's not going to be good for a couple of seasons, in my opinion, and that's good for Philly long term.
Nah.
De'Aaron Fox, 32% from 3 on 5 attempts last game. So not great, but I mean, that's more of a floor spacing than Simmons, because he's just not going to shoot the 3 at all. So I don't mind the Sacramento trade. If you're Philly, I still like the McCollum trade. Apparently the ask was like McCollum and then like 4 firsts and then 4 swaps, or 3 firsts and 3 swaps. Like, that's outrageous. But if you're Philly and you can get McCollum, and if you're Portland and you can get Simmons, I don't hate that for either side.
I still think the Indiana trade is the best option. I don't know why they won't just take it.
And maybe. I mean, I don't dislike the Indiana trade. I think at some point, because James Harden played 8 games for Houston last year. Like, I feel like this thing comes to a resolution pretty quick, because he's doing way more than James Harden was doing last year. But I feel like it's going to come to a resolution. I just don't think Philly's going to put up with it for too much longer. And I think at some point they'll just realize, we'll just take kind of whatever's out there, and just to get the distraction off of our hands and like move forward as an organization, because they have title hopes. Like, they have aspirations of competing for a title with Embiid.
You think they could still salvage this and go for a title even if they get rid of him?
I mean, it depends on who they get back.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, can they salvage this and go for a title with him? I don't think they're.
Oh no, it's over. He's done. Yeah. Like I said, it's time to hit the eject button. It's over with.
Yeah. It depends on who they get back, obviously.
I just don't see the Pacers deal being something where they can still be a contender, because Sabonis is kind of playing the position that they want Tobias to play. So that's not going to work out too well.
I'd flip Sabonis or Tobias in that regard. Like, I would just.
I would push for Karras personally. I would try to get Lambert instead of Sabonis.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
I think they're going to have to. Too. I think it might have to be like a 3-teamer where, again, we talked about like the Warriors deal of like you flip some of those young guys and then send them elsewhere to get some veteran guys in there. And same thing with maybe the Pacers deal. Like, I think that's what it might have to be with this, because I don't think what they're looking for, which is a lot, is really out there right now, and I don't think they can afford to like wait on this either. Because you love Bradley Beal if you're the Sixers, but I don't think like that deal is actually out there. You'd love to be like, oh, maybe maybe Dame he's not happy in Portland, and you try to hold off and then make the trade for Dame. Like, you can't afford to wait on some of this stuff because it might not come to fruition.
No, I don't think they can wait any longer. I already think they waited too long. Going into the season with him is, I think, a disaster. And we've just seen that because he's not even cooperating in practice. So I think they've got to cut their losses.
Who do you guys have? Well, people, I want to talk about the Heat because I'm in on the Heat. I like Kyle Lowry. I still think he has something left in the tank. I like Butler, Bam, PJ Tucker gives them some grit. They got some shooting. I like Miami. I'm not in Heat culture. Everybody's gonna talk about it. Like I'm in on this team. I don't know. They're gonna have to beat Milwaukee or Brooklyn, I would imagine, in the second round, and that's gonna be a tough out. This team's going to be annoying to play against, though.
Defensively,
it depends on if Oladipo is healthy this year. If he's healthy, then I think the team's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I think that defensively, they're going to be the best defensive team. I think that Tyler Hero is going to be definitely benefited by coming off of the bench. I could see him being like a 6 man of the year type of candidate because he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's really upset at a lot of people, thinking that he, didn't play well in the playoffs and all of that. And they got shooting with him and Duncan Robinson. So yeah, I think that the Bucks don't want to verse them in the second round. So I think that the Bucks are going to play hard to get that number 1 seed. But I think that the Nets, I think KD, and even if it's just KD and Harden, that's enough to beat them in the second round. But yeah, I do agree. That's the one team that you don't want to play, and probably the most improved team in the whole East.
The Hawks, they were Eastern Conference finalists last year, and the situation is what it is, but they made it. I love Trae. Absolutely love Trae Young. And the rest of the team, I can kind of take or leave, but like you let that guy cook, and then the rest of the guys can just make shots and they bombard you with threes and everything. Do we think the Hawks were kind of an anomaly because of kind of seeding and the Sixers falling apart last year? Or can the Hawks like make a little noise as like a top 4 team?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think that they got some favorable matchups early. But again, they were right there against Milwaukee. It's not like they were out of that series. I think if Trae doesn't get hurt, then they're closer to winning that series than people think. I don't know, man. Some of those other guys on that team, I don't know if I'd hang my hat on like this is the team I think it's going to come out of the conference, but I do think that they're going to be top 4.
Yeah, I got them right at 4. I got Bucks, Nets, Miami, and then the Hawks, and then 5, 6. I can trade back or forth. I think the Knicks probably will make it up to like the 5th seed because like we've been talking about for a while, the Sixers are just so unsure of where they're going to be. Same with the Celtics. I don't know. Like the Celtics could be anywhere from 6 to not making the playoffs at all because they don't have a point guard. They don't have much outside of Tatum and Brown. But the Hawks, I think
they got Al Horford bounce passes back, baby.
Come on, man. They got Horford back. They got
Rozier. They got former WWE 24/7 champion Enes Kanter on the roster.
Will y'all stop? We gotta stop the cap.
New York got a lot better though, so I'm assuming New York is either going to get that 5th or 4th spot.
Dennis Schroeder's there too. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Knicks, I don't want to get that 4th or 5th spot. If you got to verse the Hawks again, I don't think they improve that much.
To be honest with you, I think if the Knicks see them again, they could possibly beat them, and this is why. I think we've got New York Kemba back, man. I don't know if Randall's going to play that bad in the playoffs again. I feel like that was an anomaly last year. Like I feel like if he shows up in the playoffs this year, they could actually make it to the next round.
Former Laker great Julius Randle. Yes, I do agree. He's not going to play that bad again because the Lakers don't play that bad back-to-back playoffs. But yeah, I think Kemba is the difference maker because Kemba, I've told people for so many years because I grew up in New York. I used to see this guy play in Rice High School, and then I saw him play with UConn. He's like a different player when he's on that Madison Square Garden floor.
Kemba in the Garden. So, yeah, they've got their center back. Man, we got. Come on, man.
I mean, no. Don't get me started on Mitchell Robinson. Mitch Robinson. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's one of the most inconsistent players to ever play in the.
He did hurt him by not being there. I'm not saying he's gonna be like a number 1 guy, but I do think he hurt them in the playoffs, not by being hurt. I think he took some of the slack off of Randall. So I mean, and I like Quickly, man. I think New York quietly has a good team. I can't rag on them like I usually do because they have a pretty good team.
I've been ragging on them for 30 years. I can continue to rag on.
I mean, I keep ragging on them because I laughed pretty hard when they lost, but I do think they have a solid team.
Yeah, they do.
All right,
They're top 5.
Give me a big trade. It can be a Simmons trade. It can be a trade that just people don't see something. You don't have to give me full details, but like a move that you think is going to happen at some point this year. SP3.
I'm gonna go with Pascal Siakam to the Golden State Warriors. I think that's the war. Like I said, the Warriors are one big move away from being a lock-in top 3 seed in the West. And I think, I would take Siakam over Simmons because of all these issues. And
Isn't he on a max deal though?
Yeah, he has a max deal. They're gonna have to trade a lot, and I don't know.
They trade Wiggins.
Yeah, I don't know if Wiggins will. I think he has like a no trade clause or something like that, where he can kind of say no to going to the Raptors. But they would have to
He's
try
from Canada. He'll go.
Yeah, exactly. That is true. You be back home. So yeah, they can trade Wiggins.
Maybe Jordan.
trade Wiggins and trade your young players, but I think that would be the difference maker. One of those guys, like Simmons or Siakam, to the Warriors, and the Warriors are a top 3 seed and probably the biggest threat to the Lakers not winning the West.
Phil, give me a big trade.
I think that the Lakers are going to make a trade before All-Star break because they always do. They do this. This is a prime LeBron team thing.
Who are they giving up and who are they getting though?
They stack up a team with a bunch of guys, and then it doesn't work before All-Star break, and they make a trade. This is a LeBron team. They do it every time. So I think they're going to trade somebody. Don't be surprised if it's like DeAndre Jordan or like one of those centers that they don't need. It's going to happen.
They'll have no issue trading DeAndre Jordan or Dwight Howard or whatever.
No.
It's good. It's gonna happen. They're gonna make trades before All-Star break. They always do. And they're gonna do their retool and shuffle like they always do.
Make it Dwight Howard, and I'm happy. I'm still not over him ruining one of Kobe's last year. So go ahead.
Hey, you got your championship team.
Yeah. I said you you helped us get a championship in 2020. Now you can be on your way. We could trade him. I'm totally fine with that.
Karl Anthony Towns to the Oklahoma City Thunder for the draft pick haul. That's the deal that's going down. I'm going to speak it into existence. They can take all the picks. We're getting Towns, baby. We're going Towns, Shea, Giddey, Dort, Poku, and we're going to the finals. That's the finals lineup right there.
What a team. I do think Towns will be gone within the next 2 years.
That is.
I mean, I don't know if it's OKC, but I do think Towns will be gone within the next 2 years. I don't think he's staying in Minnesota much longer.
I'm calling him either this season or next season. Towns to the Bucks.
To the Bucks?
To the Bucks.
How are they getting Towns?
They'll trade Middleton.
They ain't trading Middleton. Giannis is way too loyal for that stuff.
That is true.
If they try to trade any of those guys, Giannis is going to be like, what is going on here? No, that's a loyal dude. Bless him. But I would love for OKC if somebody. I don't think you give up these picks for just anybody. Like, who said it? Skip or Shannon or one of those dummies. They were like, they should give up the picks for Kyrie. Like, no, why would you give up these picks for Kyrie?
No,
like,
good Lord, no.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for Ben Simmons. And again, I'm very high on Ben Simmons. That's not a guy I would give up these picks for. Karl Anthony Towns, though, that guy's really good. And he's just been in a shitty situation in Minnesota. You bring him to OKC, you put him next to Shea and Giddey, he's going to thrive. But I don't think it's actually going to happen. If he's on the table, that's one of the guys I would definitely put all these trade picks into. And he's one of the very few exceptions when it comes to giving up all these picks. Because I know OKC has a plan. They're going to keep with the picks and they're gonna do this long-term thing, which great. But some guys you gotta cut bait on these picks because I don't know if there's gonna be a player out there who's better than Karl Anthony Towns with all these picks. All right, give me.
You don't want to jump into Zion sweepstakes?
Look, if Zion's available, then yeah. The problem with Zion is I feel like he's going to want to bounce in about a year. And so you don't want to give up all these picks for a guy who's just going to be as unhappy in OKC as he is in New Orleans.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
wants
if
to be in
Zion's
New York. We all
available,
know it.
sure, I'll take him.
Yeah, he wants to be in New York. We all know it.
Yeah, he wants to be in a big market, and I mean, you know, that ain't OKC, that's for sure. East Finals, West Finals, finalist, champion, SP3.
East Finals, Bucks and Nets. They had the best series last year. I think it's going to be even more anticipated in the conference finals. West Finals, I'll go with. I predicted something else on my predictions on our Patreon, but I'm gonna go with, after us discussion here, Lakers and Warriors. Lakers and Warriors.
What was your other prediction? Lakers,
Suns. Lakers, Suns. Yeah. Lakers Suns, because I want our revenge, of course. But I think Lakers Warriors is probably the safer pick right now. Of course, I got the Lakers beating the Warriors, and I want the money matchup. I want the dream matchup. The NBA wants the dream matchup. Everybody wants the dream matchup. So I'm going to take the Nets to beat the Bucks, and it's Nets Lakers in the finals.
And I'm assuming you're picking the Lakers to win.
No, I'm going to be – of course I am. What do you think this is? I told you, unadulterated Laker bias on my behalf. Lakers in 7.
Phil, what are your picks?
You just reminded me, because I forgot when you said revenge. Boy, did I enjoy watching the Suns beat the Lakers. That was probably the funnest series I've last year.
Yeah, the overrated, overhyped choke artist Chris Paul losing in that series.
Were we not up 2-1 before AD went down? I'm just saying.
Okay.
But I don't know. Once you guys started over celebrating the way that you guys claimed that the Warriors did, and it came back to bite you, I loved every second of it.
Hey, we were celebrating when we had AD on the floor. Once AD went down, all bets was off. He was the best player in those first 3 games.
You get no argument out of me. I think that I think AD has been overhated on since he's gotten to LA. I think he had a bigger push last season to be MVP than LeBron did, even though he pouted all postseason like he should have been MVP. And AD's stats were all better than his. So I didn't get that. I mean, West, of course, it's I think Lakers are going to conference finals again. I think it's tough because I feel like there could be upsets. Like, I would love to see the Warriors go all the way back to the conference finals. I don't know if I believe that. I think you're possibly looking at Lakers, Denver. There you go.
And then who do you have in the finals, and then your champion, Phil?
Oh, yeah. East, Brooklyn, if they can get it together there. I don't know. Barring KD having this amazing MVP level season, I don't know how they're going to be able to really salvage that season. Not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but making it all the way to the conference finals is going to be tough without the 3 of them. But I'm just going to take Brooklyn for the heck of it, and probably Brooklyn Bucks, because got to go with the champions going back. If that's the matchups, it's probably Lakers, Brooklyn.
You guys are cowards.
And look at the bright side. I get to go. I get to go see the finals. I get to go see the Lakers in the finals. That's why I'm thinking I get to go to Brooklyn and go see my Lakers.
Look, if that's the case, I hope they win, because I never would wish ill of seeing your team lose a final game live. That's heartbreaking.
Listen, if the Lakers go to New York and lose.
Don't do that to me. Don't wish that upon me. Don't wish that upon me.
Listen. You think I would be obnoxious if the Lakers lose? That is nothing compared to what New Yorkers will do. New York, we're talking about New York Knicks bandwagoners will jump over just to start jumping all over the Lakers and dunking on them. You just know it's going to happen.
I don't know. The new thing for Knicks fans is hating on the Nets, to be honest with you.
With the Knicks fans I know,
yeah, that's true.
That's different though. I don't know, man. Yeah, I would like to say I think that the Bulls can go all the way to the conference finals. I don't believe that though. I have been a Chicago Bulls fan long enough to know not to do that. Not to do that to myself.
All right. I'm going with Oklahoma City Thunder in the finals once they trade for Karl Anthony Towns. No one's stopping us. Legit picks. Bucks and Nets in the East. Nuggets, Lakers in the West. Give me the Nuggets, Bucks in Adam Silver's nightmare matchup. All right, Adam Silver's gonna. How pissed is Adam Silver gonna be if you get Nuggets Bucks? Give me Nuggets Bucks. That's my prediction.
Oh my God,
he's gonna be so pissed.
You guys are going chalk Lakers, Nets. Let's just go with the top teams who got all the good players in the offseason. I'm rooting for chaos. Give me all these injuries and everything.
We
Nuggets,
just got that.
Bucks. We're gonna get it again. We're gonna get it again. Nuggets Bucks.
Oh
Bucks
my
repeat.
God.
That's my official prediction. Come back to this podcast in 8 months, and I'm gonna take my victory lap with Nikolai Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo are in the finals.
I don't know.
I apologize
I'm just
for Jokic for messing up his name like that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we can get some fun games out of this, man. If this is somehow like that 2011 season where the Bulls managed to sweep Miami and I got to hang that on my hat, I would love it. But I don't know, man. I'm tempering my expectations still. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna throw this out here right now, since T.O. Noel mentions it. Phil's co-host Will, super happy. Nuggets in the finals. Avs in the finals. I'm going to Denver. I'm gonna hang out with Will. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna go catch Avs and Nuggets games when they're both in the finals, winning championships, and it's gonna be great. I'll see you in, I guess, April. Oh wait, no, man. April's like the end of the season. See you in June, Will. And we're going to hang out and we're going to catch some sports games together. Smash the cold beers. Weed's legal. We're going to just get high all the time. That's what we're going to do. All right, Will? Let him know. Everybody tag Will. Let him know. I'll see him in June. And we're going to catch a bunch of Avs and Nuggets games, raising the banners in Colorado.
I already have my response all season ready. Every time the Bulls lose, I'm going to be like, hey, Chicago Sky are champions, man. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Hey,
Candace Parker.
you welcome from LA. We
man. Candace Parker is from here, sir. We're not doing it.
I know that, but we let her go. The Sparks let her go like idiots.
She was wearing a Jordan jersey that night when she won at East Portillo. Thank you from Chicago.
Phil, let the people know where they can find you at.
I don't know. You can find me somewhere on Twitter. You don't want to follow me. No, you can find me at PhilDL616. And of course, you can watch Grapsody on Saturdays at noon Eastern with me, my co-host that just happens to be a Denver fan, and Will Washington, and Righteous Reg, who is from the Oakland area, but I am hoping to God he's not a Lakers fan. I think he's a Warriors fan. We're just gonna hope high for my guy, but I think he's probably gonna start being a Lakers fan after that Beans fiasco.
Oh man, that was rough. What a segment that was. I'm talking about. Yeah, everyone watch, listen to, follow Grapsody, noon Saturdays, youtube.com/Fightful. Tremendous shit. SV3, where can they find you at?
They can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. Go over, subscribe to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Daily content over there. I'll be up on there actually tomorrow to live react to Crown Jewel. Unfortunately, I lost the bet, and I have to do the watch along with Romeo. So go over there, show your support. And please help me to God to make it through that show. And then you can see me on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel with Stephanie Chase reviewing it. Stephanie Chase, the #1 AEW fan. So that should be fun with our reactions after Crown Jewel. And yeah, check out the Patreon for True Heel Heat as well. $3 a month. Become a Patreon supporter.
Shout out to Stephanie Chase. Her interviews are great.
Yes,
with the AEW people, just good stuff on there. I always get so many articles out of her stuff. Guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. We will continue to do some NBA podcasts throughout the season. If Joseph's not a coward, he will actually join us on some of these things. But You know,
Listen,
otherwise we'll get SP3, we'll get Phil, we'll get other people who
Hey.
just want to talk hoops throughout the season. So
if the Bulls are win 50 games this year, I think I'll be very different on this podcast. I'll be very different, but
this is again, they gave us our own channel and we're just gonna do NBA. Sean's like, why are you putting up NHL streams? I was like, I don't know, I was playing on Twitch, just uploaded it to the channel. I was like, all right, whatever.
This is your bid to try and get CM Punk on the channel.
There you go.
I'd love to get CM Punk on the channel to talk hockey. I want to do like I don't like doing wrestler interviews. I don't think I'm good at interviews, and I listen to so many wrestling interviews that I'm like, I just don't want to talk wrestling with these people. Would love to have people on to talk like sports and television and things like that. Look, CM Punk, I know he's mad at my headlines sometimes, but if you're listening, watching, know people, you want to come on and talk Chicago Blackhawks and how they suck this year, you're more than welcome to come
sweet
on.
Chicago Wolves shirt on the other night.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Get Eddie Kingston to represent the Knicks.
I'd love to talk basketball with Eddie Kingston. I want Renee to come on here and talk hockey. Like these people, they're not all about wrestling. Like they have other interests. I want to talk about that shit. I'm trying on some of this stuff. I'm sending messages. I'm shooting shots. Sometimes you miss these shots, man.
Hey,
you got to keep shooting.
I am very much on the Grapspeak podcast trying to get people to come on, not to do interviews, but to come on and just talk to us about random stuff. If I can somehow magically get AJ Gray to come on our podcast, I don't think we'll talk very much about wrestling.
I'll talk to you off air about AJ Gray. Guys, thank you. We'll be back on this channel. I have no idea. Well, not tomorrow. We're not doing a post show tomorrow because WWE is running a Blood Money show, and so our normal show is what? It is. So our normal distraction show is at like 5:00 or something because they got to do the actual post show on the main Fightful channel. So I think the distraction's at 5 tomorrow. Cass is going to be on the show. No post show because it's going to be late. And then Friday will be on Twitch. Yeah, Friday will be on Twitch. Saturday we'll be on Twitch. We'll be back on this channel at some point though. And all the Twitch uploads are here. Guys, thank you guys for all the support. We will catch y'all tomorrow for the distraction at hopefully 5:00. If that changes, I'll let everybody know. Bye guys.